Hand over your badge, Emily. That was the first thing I heard at 8:59 a.m. No warning, no explanation, just Caleb Foss's voice, flat and cold, like a judge handing down a sentence. Two security guards were already standing behind me, arms crossed, waiting for me to obey. My heart raced, but I kept my face still. I knew if I let him see me flinch, he would enjoy it too much. I slid the badge from around my neck and set it down on his shiny desk. Caleb leaned back at his chair like he had planned this moment for weeks, like firing me was a show and I was the star who didn't know her script. HR stood off to the side, holding a clipboard like it was a weapon. The whole office could see through his glass walls, every head turned toward me, watching their lead systems architect get taken down in under a minute. All of this because I said one word: no. An hour earlier, I was deep in the Atlas core, triple-checking every function before our big demo with Stonebridge Capital. That demo was everything, the moment we had been building toward for years. Atlas wasn't just a program, it was a living system, smarter than anything else on the market, worth over $1 billion in potential contracts. And Caleb had waltzed into my office and asked me to drop everything to train his nephew Ethan, some 22-year-old kid with a flashy Instagram account and zero technical knowledge. He wanted me to walk him through the entire system like we had all the time in the world. No, I told him. Just that. Calm, clear, direct. Not today. Atlas needs my focus. He didn't like that. He didn't like being told no, especially by me. And now, here I was, 15 minutes to pack up 7 years of my life before security walked me out like a criminal. Emily Parker, Caleb said, folding his hands like a man who thought he'd already won. You are terminated, effective immediately. I didn't give him the satisfaction of answering. I just turned, walked to my cubicle, and started filling the cardboard box HR handed me. My plant went in first, then my coffee mug, then a stack of sticky notes and a photo of my mom hugging me after my first big product launch. To anyone watching, it looked like I was walking away with scraps, like the company was stripping me of everything that mattered. But they didn't know about the thumb drive. Buried under the photo of my mom, tucked at the bottom of the box, was a slim black drive with a plain white label: Atlas Core, Legal. It wasn't just backups or sentimental files. It was the lifeline, the patents, the incorporation papers, the licensing terms that tied Atlas to me, not to Vectora Systems. Years ago, when I built the foundation of the system, I made sure my name was the one on the original filings, my little insurance policy. If they ever fired me without a proper transition, the license would automatically suspend, forcing Atlas into lockdown until the registered architect, me, verified the system again. Caleb thought he was getting rid of me. What he really did was set off a countdown. As I dropped the last of my pens into the box, I heard a laugh behind me. Ethan, of course. He strutted into the room like he owned the place already, his phone held up high, recording everything for his followers. Blonde hair, designer sneakers, smug little grin plastered across his face. So, M, he said, pointing his camera at me. Guess I'm the new star around here. Got any passwords for me? I didn't even look up. Good luck, Ethan, I said, my voice flat. His grin faltered just for a second. He wanted me to break down. He wanted drama. He wanted to show his followers how he had taken over the throne. Too bad for him, I wasn't giving him that. The guards flanked me as I lifted my box, one on each side, like I was some kind of threat. HR trailed behind, heels clicking, already thinking about the next meeting on her schedule. I walked through the glass doors of Vectora at exactly 8:59 a.m., sunlight spilling across the parking lot, the weight of the box digging into my arms. That was the moment everyone thought it was over for me. My career, my reputation, my place in tech. Fired in front of the whole company, replaced by the CEO's spoiled nephew, erased from the very system I had built. That's what they thought. But the truth was, I was leaving with more power than ever. Because Atlas Core wasn't theirs. It was still mine. And in less than 2 hours, when Caleb tried to stand in front of Stonebridge Capital and show off what he thought he controlled, The whole system was going to freeze. Investors would see one simple message appear across the screen in bright red letters. System architect verification required. They fired me at 8:59 a.m. By 10:15, the entire world would know who really owned Atlas. And I couldn't wait to watch it happen. 9:15 a.m., I dropped the cardboard box into the passenger seat of my old silver Prius and shut the door behind me. For a second, I just sat there, gripping the steering wheel, the hum of traffic rolling down the street outside, my pulse still hammering in my ears. Fired. Walked out in front of everyone like I was nothing. Caleb probably thought he'd buried me before 9 in the morning. But I wasn't buried. Not even close. I leaned over, pushed aside my coffee mug and plant, and slid the black thumb drive from the bottom of the box. It looked like nothing, just a cheap little stick of plastic and metal. But in my hands, it was the key to everything. My safety net, my revenge, my ace. I plugged it into my laptop and waited for the screen to light up. The Atlas Core logo pulsed across the monitor, cool blue lines dancing in a circle, before the menu appeared. My code, my system, my creation. And hidden beneath all that clean design was my lock, a licensing daemon I had built into the architecture itself. Most people at Victoria never even knew it existed. Why would they? To them, Atlas was just code and servers, something you turned on and off with passwords. But I had made it smarter. The license was tied directly to my employment record. If I was removed without a proper transition protocol, Atlas would automatically freeze itself, waiting for verification. Without me, the system wasn't just broken, it was untouchable. I opened the daemon window and checked the status. The clock was already ticking. 90 minutes until full lockdown. Caleb and his nephew would walk into the biggest investor meeting of their lives and fire up Atlas in front of Stonebridge Capital, and instead of a perfect demo, all they'd get was a giant red warning across the screen. A slow smile spread across my face. They thought I had left powerless. They thought they had stripped me of everything. But the truth was, I had just flipped the hourglass over, and the sand was slipping away fast. My phone buzzed, a text from Jess, one of my teammates who had witnessed the whole thing. "Are you okay? This is insane." I typed back quickly. "Better than okay. Watch the demo at 10:15. I didn't explain more. Just didn't need to know the details. Not yet. The fewer people who knew about the thumb drive, the better. I leaned back in the seat, tapping my fingers against the wheel. My mind raced. 90 minutes until everything blew up. That was both forever and no time at all. I had to be careful. If Caleb realized too soon what I'd done, he'd try to shut everything down before the investors arrived. But he wouldn't figure it out. He thought I was just an angry ex-employee driving away with a cardboard box and hurt feelings. He had no idea the bomb was already ticking. I pictured the scene in my head. Caleb standing at the front of the glossy conference room, Ethan by his side, cameras rolling, investors leaning forward with their checkbooks ready, the lights dimming, the system booting, and then, bam, that red warning message filling the screen. Panic, scrambling, Stonebridge realizing in real time that Victoria wasn't in control of its own technology. It would be perfect. But even perfection needs a backup plan. I opened the encrypted folder on the drive and checked the documents inside. Patents filed under my name, legal contracts that tied Atlas Core to Carter Innovations, my old LLC, a clause that said if my employment ended without proper succession protocol, the license reverted back to me. Clean, airtight, ironclad. Caleb could scream, threaten, call lawyers, hire hackers. It wouldn't matter. The paperwork would hold. I thought back to the nights I'd written those contracts, hunched over my kitchen table with pizza boxes and highlighters, half convinced I was paranoid for building so many protections. Now I was grateful for every word. My younger self had known this day might come. My younger self had been right. The clock on my laptop ticked. 9:30 a.m. 45 minutes until Caleb's big show. I imagined him pacing the halls upstairs, patting Ethan on the back, bragging about how ready they were. He probably thought I was crying somewhere, wallowing in defeat. He didn't know I was sitting just 3 blocks away in a beat-up Prius, sipping an energy drink and holding the detonator in my hands. Another buzz from my phone. This time it was Ethan, somehow with my number. "Hey, Em, hope no hard feelings. I'll take good care of your baby. Maybe you can watch me crush it today, LOL. I stared at the screen, then deleted the text. He wasn't worth the response. In less than an hour, he would be the one crushed. 09:45. The city around me moved like normal. Buses passing, joggers sweating in the sun, people sipping lattes on sidewalks.
No one knew a billion-dollar storm was about to break just a few blocks away. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel. The air in the car felt charged, like static before lightning. This wasn't just revenge. This was balance. Justice. Proof that brains beat nepotism every single time. By 10:15, the truth would be undeniable. I watched the timer count down on my screen, each second pulling me closer to the moment. Closer to the crash, closer to the look on Caleb's face when his empire fell apart in front of the people he wanted to impress most. The thumb drive sat warm in my hand, and for the first time all morning, I felt calm. They thought I had fired me. But in reality, I had just fired the first shot.
The conference room at Vectra was packed with power suits and expensive watches. Investors from Stonebridge Capital sat in a perfect row, polished and sharp, their eyes hungry for the billion-dollar technology Caleb promised them. Cameras lined the back wall. Ethan sat beside Caleb, his phone angled just right to live stream his big debut. The lights dimmed, the screen came alive. For the first few seconds, Atlas Core hummed beautifully, glowing blue with that smooth interface I had designed. I could almost hear the investors' hearts speeding up, ready to throw money at Caleb like confetti. And then it happened. The screen froze. A deep red banner stretched across the display, letters bold and unmissable. System architect verification required. Underneath, a countdown began. 012345. Silence hit the room like a slap. Someone coughed, a chair creaked. Caleb's smile didn't even have time to fade. It just collapsed all at once. "What is this?" he snapped at the engineer in the corner. The engineer typed furiously. Passwords, codes, override commands. Nothing worked. Each time, the system spat back the same word in flashing red. Denied. Ethan leaned toward the mic on the table, his voice nervous. It's just a glitch. We'll have it up in a sec." His live feed captured every second of panic, broadcasting it to hundreds of his followers in real time. But Atlas didn't care. Atlas only recognized one person. Me. Investors shifted uncomfortably, one whispered to another. Stonebridge wasn't the type to wait around while executives scrambled like rookies. Caleb's face turned crimson. He barked more orders, his voice cracking now. "Reset the server! Get IT in here!" The engineer shook his head. "It's locked, sir. Licensing verification failed. It says employment terminated without transition." The words echoed across the room like gunfire. Terminated without transition. My clause, my lock, my little piece of justice. By now, the red message had grown larger, filling the entire wall stream. System architect verification required. License expired. Phones buzzed, laptops clicked. Investors were already texting colleagues, probably updating group chats with headlines, "Atlas down, Vectora not in control." Caleb slammed his fist on the table. "Get her on the phone!" he shouted. "Now!" Ethan blinked. "Her? Get Emily Parker on the phone right now!" For a moment, the room was chaos. Engineers running in, IT staff pulling cables, assistants fumbling with phones, and in the middle of it, Stonebridge's lead partner sat calm and expressionless, watching the meltdown like it was part of the pitch. Meanwhile, I was 3 blocks away in my Prius, sipping an energy drink, watching the live stream on my laptop. The camera shook as Ethan tried to angle it away from the giant red warning, but it was too late. Thousands of people had already seen it. Comments flew across the feed. "LOL, system crashed. Who's Emily Parker? $1.2 billion fail?" I leaned back in my seat and laughed. Not cruel, not loud, just a low laugh that felt like release. All those late nights, all the times they ignored me, underestimated me, tried to use me, and now they couldn't run a single line of Atlas without me. Inside the boardroom, Caleb's voice cracked again. "This is sabotage! She must have done this!" Wrong. This wasn't sabotage. This was structure. This was paperwork and planning. The kind of boring legal detail everyone else brushed off, but I had cared enough to design. And now, it was saving me. One of the investors finally spoke, a tall man in a gray suit with a voice like gravel. "Mr. Voss, are you saying your company does not control the very product you're selling us?" Caleb stammered. We do. It's a temporary issue, just a licensing error." The investor's eyebrow lifted. "And what happens if the architect refuses to cooperate?" The room went quiet again. Dead quiet. Caleb's jaw tightened. For the first time, he looked scared. Ethan fumbled with his phone, finally turning off the live stream after it had already gone viral. His smug grin was gone, replaced with the wide-eyed look of someone realizing the internet would never let him live this down. The countdown on the wall ticked lower. 1:10:59, 1:10:58. Each second felt like a drum beat. Boom, boom, boom.
A reminder that time was running out, that no one in that room had control anymore. I closed the live stream and checked my phone. A new text from Jess popped up. "Emily, they're freaking out. Investors are already leaving." I smiled. "Told you to watch." By 10:30, half the investors had stood and left. By 10:45, Stonebridge officially walked out, their faces stone cold, their money staying in their pockets. Caleb chased them down the hall, sweating through his designer suit, promising fixes, begging for another chance. They didn't even turn their heads. Back in my car, I watched the whole building through the windshield. Employees streamed out like ants, whispering, calling friends, spreading the news faster than any PR team could stop it. The story was already alive, bigger than Vectora. A billion-dollar company had just been humiliated live, and my name, Emily Parker, was on every tongue. I pulled the thumb drive from my laptop, tucked it safely into my bag, and started the car. The engine hummed like nothing had changed, like it was just another Tuesday morning in Austin. But everything had changed. They fired me at 8:59 a.m. At 10:15, I watched their empire collapse. And the best part? This was only the beginning.
By the time I parked outside Brooks and Hale, my lawyer's office, the story had already exploded online. Headlines spread faster than wildfire. Atlas crash goes viral. Vectora loses control of $1.2 billion tech. And the one that made me laugh out loud in the car, who was Emily Parker? Good question. To the world, I was suddenly the mystery name flashing across the screen of a billion-dollar failure. To me, I was just a girl with a laptop, a thumb drive, and a plan. Evan Brooks, a lawyer, met me in the lobby with his usual calm expression. He'd helped me set up Carter Innovations, the little LLC I kept alive like a quiet secret just in case. Today, that just in case was paying off. "Emily," he said, adjusting his glasses, "congratulations. You've officially started a war." "Good. Now let's win it." We sat down in his office and I slid the thumb drive across his desk. He plugged it in, scrolling through the contracts and patent files with the same quiet focus he always had. "Airtight," he said after a minute. "You built the system. You registered it under Carter Innovations. Vectora is just a licensee. They fired you without following the transfer protocol. Legally, the license is terminated. You own the Atlas core outright." Hearing him say it made me smile. Caleb could spin, scream, or hire the best lawyers in Texas. It didn't matter. The law was on my side. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed nonstop. Calls from unknown numbers, messages from reporters, even a voicemail from Caleb himself, his voice tight with forced calm. "Emily, let's talk. We can work something out." I didn't bother responding. He was desperate. Desperate people make mistakes. And mistakes were exactly what I was counting on. At 12:15, my laptop pinged with an alert. I had set up a honeypot years ago, basically a fake version of Atlas that looked real, but was designed to catch intruders. And guess what? Someone was trying to brute force their way into it. "Already?" I muttered, sipping my coffee. Evan raised an eyebrow. "Vectora? Who else?" I clicked the notification and pulled up the live feed. Sure enough, a swarm of IP addresses were hammering at the fake Atlas, trying to break in, trying to bypass the license screen. Every move they made, every key they pressed was being recorded and traced. "They think they can hack their way out of this," I said with a grin. "Instead, they're giving us evidence on a silver platter." Evan leaned back in his chair. Beautiful. By 12:45, the honeypot had collected everything. Usernames, passwords, even payment trails from a shady contractor they had clearly hired on short notice. A folder of felonies, wrapped up neat and tidy. Caleb's panic was making my case stronger by the minute. At 1 p.m., the phone buzzed again. This time, it was a call from an unknown number I actually answered. "Emily," Caleb's voice crackled through the line. "Let's be adults about this. You want money? Fine, name your price. But give us Atlas back." I almost laughed. "Atlas isn't yours to give back, Caleb. It's mine. Always has been." "You'll destroy this company," he hissed. "No, you destroyed it the second you valued nepotism over competence." And then I hung up. Evan smiled at me. "That felt good, didn't it?" "Better than good," I said. The afternoon ticked by with more alerts, more calls, more chaos. Stonebridge issued an official statement by 2 p.m. "We do not invest in companies that cannot prove control of their own technology." Vectora stock tanked before the closing bell. Employees leaked stories to the press about Ethan live streaming his uncle's humiliation. Twitter was a battlefield of memes, my name trending alongside hashtags like #AtlasCrash and #NepotismFail.
And me? I sat calmly in a quiet office, watching it all unfold, sipping my second coffee of the day. This wasn't just revenge. This was structure. This was balance. For years, I'd been underestimated, ignored, and told to smile more in boardrooms full of men who thought my work was theirs to parade. Not anymore. By 3:30, Evan had already prepared the next step: official filings to transfer all licensing rights back to Carter Innovations, with a press release ready to go public. My story wasn't going to be a whisper in the back of tech blogs. It was going to be front-page news. Once we launch this, Evan said, tapping the release, Vectera won't just look incompetent. They'll look finished. Investors will walk, partners will run, and you'll walk away holding everything that matters. I nodded. Good. Let them feel it. At 4 p.m., I stepped outside, the sun dipping low over downtown Austin, my phone buzzing again with another flood of notifications. Caleb could scream, Ethan could pout, the internet could meme their collapse into eternity. None of it mattered, because the system was mine, the patents were mine, the power was mine. And for the first time all day, I felt free. They thought firing me ended my story, but really, it had just unlocked the next chapter. By the time the sun rose the next day, the world already knew the story. Every major paper ran with it. CEO fires architect, loses control of $1.2 billion system. Emily Parker, the woman behind Atlas. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Reporters, recruiters, even old college friends who hadn't texted me in years. Everyone wanted a piece of the woman who had brought a billion-dollar company to its knees before lunchtime. Vectora, meanwhile, was in freefall. Their stock had dropped 30% overnight. Employees were jumping ship, posting their resumes online with hashtags like looking for work. Stonebridge released another statement saying they were exploring partnerships with the rightful owner of Atlas Core. That rightful owner was me. I sat in my kitchen with a bowl of cereal, hair tied up, still wearing pajamas, watching Caleb Voss on the morning news. He looked 10 years older than he had yesterday, his tie crooked, his smile forced. We are addressing a minor licensing issue, he told the cameras. Vectora remains in full control of our technology. The anchor cut him off mid-sentence with a breaking update. Correction, documents filed late last night confirmed that Atlas Core patents belong to Carter Innovations LLC, owned by former Vectora architect Emily Parker. I nearly spit my cereal out laughing. Caleb's face froze on screen like someone had pulled the rug out from under him, live. The internet was already chewing him up. By 11 a.m., the offers started rolling in. Investors, partners, even Stonebridge themselves wanted a meeting. Evan Brooks called me with a grin in his voice. Emily, they want you, not Vectora. You. They'll fund whatever you want to build next. And I knew exactly what I wanted. Not just revenge, not just proving a point. I wanted Atlas to finally live up to the vision I had when I first scribbled it on a whiteboard years ago. A system that actually served people, not just shareholders. Data that stayed private. Tools that helped small businesses instead of spying on them. Tech with a backbone. At 2 p.m., I walked into Stonebridge's office downtown. Their conference room was the opposite of Vectora's. Calm, respectful, no flashing lights or phony bravado. Clara, one of their partners, shook my hand firmly. Emily, she said, we've seen enough. We want to back you, not them. I sat down, thumb driving my pocket, and smiled. Then let's do it right this time. By 4 p.m., Carter Innovations wasn't just an LLC on paper anymore. It was the seed of a real company, funded, staffed, and protected. The team I trusted most from Vectora called me one by one, asking if they could join. I told them yes. This time, we'd build without fear, without bosses who thought bloodlines mattered more than brains. Back at Vectora, things were getting uglier by the hour. Caleb tried to sue, but the filings were public record, ironclad, and not in his favor. He tried to spin the press, but memes of Ethan livestreaming the crash kept drowning him out. He tried to call me again, this time begging, Emily, please, we can negotiate. I'll pay you double, triple. I told him the truth. Caleb, Atlas doesn't belong to you. It never did. Goodbye. I hung up and blocked his number. By evening, I stood on my apartment balcony looking out at the Austin skyline glowing against the night. The city buzzed like nothing had changed, but for me, everything had. I wasn't just the fired employee anymore. I was the architect, the owner, the woman who had walked away with the core of a $1 billion empire tucked in her bag. It felt like justice. It felt like freedom. They fired me at 8:59 a.m. thinking they were making an example out of me. Instead, they made me famous. They made me powerful. And they made me unstoppable. Atlas was mine again. And this time, the world would see it on my terms.